You see her, and for a moment, the world around you goes silent. She moves as if the air around her becomes thicker, almost tangible. In her gaze, in the curve of her neck, in the way she brushes back a lock of hair, there lies an unspoken promise. A promise of sleepless nights, of whispers in the dark, a promise of touching something transcendent. And your male instinct, honed by millions of years of evolution, screams just one thing. There she is, the ultimate prize. You're convinced that behind this perfect facade lies an equally bottomless passion, that the body of a goddess is a gateway to a divine garden of delights. But the great explorers of the human soul, from Freud to Jung, knew one dangerous truth. The most beautiful facades are most often built to hide the deepest, darkest dungeons. Jung called this the persona, an ideal mask, polished to a brilliant shine. But behind every such mask, its shadow is always hiding everything she fears, everything she won't even admit to herself. Her fears, her hunger, her coldness. And today, you and I will do something forbidden. Like master thieves, we will bypass all her alarms and break through the facade. We will descend into those dark dungeons. I won't give you cliché advice. Instead, I will show you 8 of her dark secrets, 8 keys to her true nature. And the last one, the 8th key, will unlock the main door, behind which lies the shocking answer to the question, who is she really? After this, you will read beautiful women like an open book. But before we begin this descent, I need your help. If you're ready to learn the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, like this video right now so I can see we're on the same page. And if you're here for the first time and aren't afraid of the deep end, be sure to subscribe, because you won't find any shallow talk here. And before we start, I'd love to know our geography. Please write in the comments what city you're from. Dark secret 1, panic fear of imperfection. The first thing you encounter is her icy, almost inhuman perfection. You mistake it for a sign of a higher class, a mark of true breeding, of absolute self-confidence. But the truth is, this isn't confidence. It's a panicked, primal terror of the slightest flaw. Her beauty isn't her gift. It's her curse. It's a throne she must sit on with a perfectly straight back, afraid to take an extra breath for fear of cracking her flawless corset. To understand the source of this fear, we must go back to her childhood. Imagine a little girl who was praised not for what she did, but for how she looked. Her smile was valued more than her words. Her new dress was noticed more often than her new idea. She absorbed a core truth with her mother's milk. I am loved as long as I am beautiful. Not smart, not kind, not fun, but specifically beautiful. Her entire personality, her whole self-esteem, was built on this fragile, external foundation. And now she lives in a constant, cold terror that this foundation will one day crumble under the weight of time. And then, under the rubble, nothing will be left. Only emptiness. And she brings this terror with her into your bedroom. A place created for animalistic passion, for losing control, for absolute vulnerability. She turns into a sterile operating room where a procedure to maintain her perfection is performed. You expect fire, but you get a flawlessly executed ballet recital. Watch her. Her body moves with a measured, almost mathematical precision. Every curve, every turn of her head, it's not an impulse of passion, but a pre-rehearsed element. She breathes evenly and shallowly, so as not to smudge her makeup. Her moans sound more like a musical score than a cry from the soul. She is a work of art, locked behind thick glass in a museum. You can admire the lines and forms, but you will never feel the warmth of a living body. You try to embrace a woman, but you're hugging her flawless statue. And herein lies a special, cold thrill that is so intoxicating at first. You look at this perfection and feel chosen. You think you are the connoisseur who has been granted a night in the main hall of the Louvre. You are captivated. You are blinded. You don't immediately notice the details that expose the fraud. You don't notice that her eyes aren't looking at you. They seem to look through you, judging herself from the outside. You don't notice that. Her touches lack pressure. They are light and superficial, as if she's afraid of leaving fingerprints on you. You don't feel how her muscles are tense, even at the supposed moment of climax. She doesn't surrender to the flow. She controls it, like an expert engineer controlling the water pressure in a turbine. And here is the main male mistake, dictated by instinct. You see this cold flawlessness and decide it's your duty to melt this ice with your passion. You become more assertive, more inventive. You think that if you just try hard enough, the volcano will awaken. But you don't realize you're trying to light a fire with marble. All your warmth, all your energy, disappears into this cold beauty without a trace. She consumes your passion like a black hole consumes light, while remaining just as cold and dark. You leave the bedroom completely drained, with a feeling of being used, but not as a man, as a tool, like a brush with which the artist added the final, perfect stroke to her self-portrait. The second, no less dangerous mistake is to start playing by her rules. You subconsciously read her demands and become an actor yourself. You start thinking about how you look. You start controlling your movements to match her level. And at that moment, the dance dies completely, turning into the synchronized swimming of two lonely souls. You are both performing a perfect, but utterly soulless ritual. The intimacy that was supposed to set you free becomes your shared prison. A beautiful, well-furnished prison, but a prison nonetheless, from which there is no escape, because you are both afraid to be the first to show that you are living human beings, not ancient deities who have stepped down from their pedestals. Dark secret. Two emotional anesthesia. If the first secret is her fear, the second is her primary survival tool. Emotional anesthesia. In order to maintain a perfect mask around the clock, she has to freeze everything beneath it. Because real feelings are inconvenient. They're unpredictable. Anger distorts beautiful features. Unrestrained joy can look childishly silly. Deep sadness leaves wrinkles. So, like a skilled surgeon, she constantly injects a dose of anesthetic directly into her soul. She chooses control, and the price of that choice is her ability to feel in the bedroom. This manifests in the cruelest way. You get a technically perfect body, devoid of a soul. It's like driving the most expensive modern car with one catch. It's on autopilot. It takes corners perfectly, accelerates smoothly, brakes flawlessly. But you are not the driver in this process. You are just a passenger. You don't feel the road. You don't feel a connection with the machine. You are simply moving from point A to point B with maximum comfort and absolute boredom. Her body responds to your touch, but these are reflexes, not feelings. It's a programmed reaction, not a living response. The thrill of this situation is that at first, it can even be arousing. The idea of possessing such a flawless but cold doll, of awakening her, of seeing yourself as her master, it's a powerful stroke to the male ego. She might moan at the right moments, arch her back in the most cinematic poses. But if you break away from the performance for a second and look into her eyes, you'll see an icy void. Her pupils aren't dilated with passion. Her gaze isn't clouded with pleasure. Her gaze is clear, sober, and observant. She isn't looking at you. She's looking at herself through your eyes, checking if she's good enough, if she's convincing enough in the role of a passionate lover. The most painful moment is what happens after. A second ago, she was playing the part of a volcano, and now that the act is over, she instantly pulls away. No tenderness, no cuddling, no desire to just lie next to you. It's as if she's throwing off a wet coat and rushing to get warm. She gets in the shower, checks her phone, starts a conversation about household chores. The show is over, and the actress no longer needs to play her part. This abrupt switch from fire to ice is like an emotional shock for a man. You were just at the peak of intimacy, and now you're alone in a cold, empty room, even though she's still there. This is loneliness for two, the most terrifying kind of all. The main male mistake here is trying to melt her with your love. You start to surround her with even more care, speak even more tender words, hoping your warmth will break through her armor. But you don't understand that she isn't frozen on the outside. She's frozen from within. Your warmth doesn't melt her. It simply evaporates from the surface of her icy shell. You spend a colossal amount of emotional energy trying to warm an iceberg, and in the end, you freeze yourself. You start to doubt yourself, your masculine power, your ability to give love. You look for the cause in yourself, when the cause is her long-standing choice in favor of survival. Not life. Dark Secret 3, the eternal hunger for attention. If her self-esteem is a building on the fragile foundation of her appearance, then male attention is the cement she must have delivered around the clock to keep that building from crumbling. And your cement, no matter how much of it you produce, will never be enough to fill all the cracks in her soul. Her need for attention is not just a desire. It's an addiction, akin to a drug. Her ego is a bottomless black hole that devours the light of other people's gazes. It all starts small, with things you might dismiss as feminine coquettishness. You're sitting in a restaurant, and she acts with the waiter as if he's a long-lost admirer. She gives him a special smile, holds his gaze a split second longer than necessary. You see how she physically blooms when she catches the admiring glance of a man at the next table. She is like a flower that turns toward any source of light, no matter how faint. At first, you even feel proud of it. Look, everyone, this woman is with me. You don't realize that for her, you aren't the final destination, but just one of the light bulbs in her tanning bed. Then it gets worse. Her phone becomes a portal to other worlds, where she is the eternal heroine of someone else's fantasies. She starts casually texting old acquaintances, replying to messages from strangers. You might notice her hiding her screen when you walk into the room. You see that special vacant expression on her face when she's immersed in this virtual flirtation. She'll swear to you it's just friendship, but you instinctively feel the lie. You feel that in these chats, she's getting something you can no longer give her, the thrill and novelty of the conquest. Your admiration is a steady salary to her, but she needs risky stock, market speculations that bring a quick and intoxicating dopamine hit. The piquancy of this situation lies in her double life. With you, she can be emphatically proper, almost puritanical. But on her phone, in her virtual life, she is a femme fatale, a collector of men's hearts. This double life is not a sign of promiscuity. It's a symptom of a desperate hunger. She is trying to fill the bottomless pit of her self-esteem with compliments and admiration, not understanding that this pit has no bottom. The climax of this hunger is almost always the same cheating. And the biggest male mistake is to take this cheating personally. You start to dig into yourself. Where did I go wrong? What did I do? You try to find logic in her actions, when her behavior is dictated not by logic, but by the pure biochemistry of addiction. She doesn't cheat because you are bad. She cheats because she needs a new, more powerful dose. A new man is not a new love. He is a new, untapped source of admiration to be drained dry. Trying to build a faithful, monogamous relationship with her is like trying to negotiate with a hurricane. It isn't evil. It simply follows its destructive nature. And you're standing in its path, naively believing your love is enough to stop it. This is the level of depth you will find in every one of my videos. If this is the approach you've been looking for, now is the perfect time to subscribe. Dark Secret 4, the queen's passivity if her beauty is her kingdom, then the bedroom is her throne room. And in this room, there is only one role for you, that of a loyal subject who has come for an audience. She doesn't see you as an equal partner. She sees you as someone who must serve, please, and admire. The very essence of intimacy is twisted beyond recognition. Instead of a dance of two equals, you get a ritual of worshiping a deity. And deities, as we know, do not fuss. They receive offerings in bed. This manifests as a majestic, almost monumental passivity. She lies there like a precious artifact on a velvet cushion, and she waits. She will not initiate. She will not explore your body, search for your sensitive spots. The entire vector of attention, all the energy of the process, must be directed exclusively at her. You are the artist, and she is your canvas. But this canvas does not help you create. It merely offers a cold assessment of your every brushstroke. Are you talented enough? Are you diligent enough? Did your hand tremble? There's a dark, intoxicating appeal to this, especially for a man who is a conqueror. You feel like an explorer who must conquer an impregnable peak. You see her passivity as a challenge. You invest all your energy, all your skill, into making this marble statue come to life. You try different techniques, change the rhythm, search for that one secret key to her pleasure. And when you think you've found it, when you see or hear her response, you feel like a triumphant hero. You have won. You have proven yourself worthy. But this is a dangerous illusion. You haven't won. You've just passed an exam. And even a passed exam doesn't bring you a real reward. She might condescendingly praise you, but her praise will lack warmth and gratitude. It will just be a statement of fact. Yes, you completed your task. You are dismissed for today. You don't leave her bedroom filled with shared energy, but drained, as if after the hardest physical labor. You weren't a lover. You were a worker who completed a difficult order. And the scariest part is that over time, this work ceases to bring even the illusion of triumph. It becomes a routine, a heavy obligation that you subconsciously start to avoid. The main male mistake is to accept these rules of the game. You agree to the role of the eternal examinee. You stop thinking about your own pleasure, focusing entirely on servicing her. You forget that intimacy is a two-way street. You become a function, a set of tools for her pleasure. And in that very moment, you lose yourself. You lose your masculine spontaneity, your playfulness, your right to receive pleasure. You become a slave to her passivity, and this voluntary servitude slowly drains all the joy out of your life. Dark Secret 5 Sex as Currency. This secret transforms your relationship from a union of two people into a complex commercial enterprise. Her Name Inc., where there is only one shareholder, her, and one employee, you. And the main asset, the primary currency in this corporation, is intimacy. She intuitively understands that your need for her is the most effective lever of pressure. And she uses this lever with the calculation of an experienced financier that your intimate life ceases to be spontaneous and turns into a system of rewards and punishments. Withholding intimacy becomes her main punitive tool. You didn't guess her desire? Forgot some insignificant bait? Dared to express an opinion different from hers? You are immediately hit with sexual sanctions. She becomes cold, unapproachable, turns to the wall. And this coldness can last for days, even weeks. It is a sophisticated form of torture that hits its target precisely, striking at the core of your masculine self-esteem, making you feel guilty and worthless. On the other hand, her consent to intimacy becomes the ultimate reward. It's not a burst of passion. It's a bonus for good behavior. You bought her that dress, took her to that restaurant, agreed with her on everything. Good boy, you've earned your bonus. Her yes is not a whisper of desire. It's the sound of a cash register dispensing your paycheck. Intimacy is no longer a celebration. It's a commodity. And you, from a beloved man, turn into a customer who must constantly prove his ability to pay. The dark allure of this perverse game lies in its power dynamics. Power is a potent aphrodisiac, and at first, this game of mistress and servant can even be thrilling. You feel a rush of excitement trying to earn her, to break through her artificial barriers. You see her manipulations as a kind of feminine wile that you find sexy. You think you're playing a complex game of chess, not realizing that you are not a player. You are just one of the pieces on her board, which she moves as she pleases. The most destructive male mistake is to start bargaining. You accept her rules and enter into negotiations. If I do this, will we be intimate? The moment you ask that question, your relationship dies. It turns into a grotesque marketplace. You are trying to buy something that is by its very nature priceless and can only be given voluntarily. You cease to be a man who wants to love and become a beggar, pleading for a portion of warmth. This game is humiliating, and it's impossible to win. Even if you buy her body for one night, her soul will remain behind 7 locks, in a cold safe where she keeps her greatest asset power over you. Dark secret. 6. Anatomical coldness. Here we enter very delicate territory. This is not about physiology, but about a deep psychological disconnect between her body and her mind. From a young age, her pleasure system was wired for external signals, for admiration, for compliments, for the awareness of her power over men. Her main erogenous zone is her ego. She derives peak pleasure not from physical contact, but from the knowledge that she is desired, that she is being possessed, that she is an object of worship. This leads to a shocking paradox, which she hides more carefully than anything else. She can be incredibly responsive during foreplay. Any caresses that confirm her beauty and desirability elicit a genuine response from her. But at the moment of deep union, the very instant that for a man is the quintessence of intimacy, she may feel nothing, an absolute void, because this act is not directed outward, at her facade, but inward, and her inner world is offline at that moment, anesthetized, simply not connected. All her psychic energy remains on the surface, where she can control the image. Of course, she is a brilliant actress. She will never show you this emptiness. She will fake passion with a skill worthy of the best drama school. She knows how to breathe, how to moan, how to move. She's seen it in hundreds of movies. She does this first, to protect her mask of the perfect lover. To admit to coldness would be to admit her own imperfection, which for her is tantamount to disaster. And second, she does it for you, but not out of love. She does it so that you, satisfied and happy, will continue to be the source of her primary resource, your admiration. And this is where the dark, almost mystical allure lies. You are absolutely certain that you possess a goddess, that you are the one who makes her scream with pleasure. You see her orgasm and feel on top of the world. It never occurs to you that you are the sole audience member in a one-actor theater. You pour your entire being, all your masculine energy into that moment, trying to merge with her completely. But in reality, you are only merging with her professional imitation. It's like making love to the world's most perfect android, programmed for a flawless simulation of human emotions. Everything looks completely real, but you instinctively feel the cold silicon beneath the warm skin. The main and most tragic male mistake here is to start believing in this performance unconditionally. You build your entire self-esteem as a lover on her fake reactions. You start to think that you truly know how to please her, and you stop seeking real intimacy. You settle for this beautiful counterfeit. You stop trying to hear the real music of her soul because you are completely satisfied with the loud, flawless, but pre-recorded soundtrack. You give up the chance for a genuine connection in exchange for a comfortable and ego-flattering illusion. Dark Secret 7. The Stranger Syndrome. This secret is the key to understanding why so many smart, experienced men fall into this trap and stay there for years. They all remember the beginning. And in the beginning, she was completely different. She was fire, a hurricane, a wildcat. She initiated. She was insatiable and uninhibited. And the man, spellbound by this memory, spends the rest of his life trying to get things back to how they were. He doesn't understand that he is trying to revive something that was doomed to die from the start. Her passion is a fire that burns on only one type of fuel, novelty. Her brain chemistry is not wired for oxytocin, the cuddle hormone, the hormone of deep, calm attachment that forms the basis of long-term relationships. Her system runs on pure dopamine, the neurotransmitter of anticipation, excitement, and reward. She is a huntress, and she gets the greatest pleasure not from the prey, but from the process of the hunt. As long as you are uncharted territory for her, a complex and interesting trophy, her interest and libido are at their peak. All her energy, all her sexuality is mobilized for one goal: to conquer you. But as soon as the fortress has fallen, as soon as you have transformed from a mysterious stranger into a predictable and familiar partner, the game is over for her. The dopamine system shuts down as it's no longer needed. The hunt is over, the trophy is on the wall, and her passion disappears as suddenly as it appeared. She becomes cold, passive, distant, that very same Snow Queen, and you are left completely bewildered, replaying the past in your mind, trying to figure out where you went wrong. You don't understand that you did nothing wrong. You simply won a game in which victory means the end. Herein lies the devilish appeal. In the very beginning, she gives you such a concentrate of passion, such a firework of emotions that you may have never experienced before in your life. She lifts you to such a height that everything that came before her seems bland and boring. She gets you hooked on this emotional needle. And then, when she takes away your dose, you go into real withdrawal. You are willing to do anything to feel those emotions again. And she instinctively understands this and uses it for manipulation. Sometimes, when she senses that you are completely desperate and ready to leave, she might throw you a little party one night, just like the ones at the beginning. She does this to get you back on the hook, so you'll stay and continue to serve as her background source of resources. The biggest male mistake is to believe that the initial fire is her true essence. You think her coldness is a temporary phase caused by routine, stress, or your own mistakes. But in reality, it's the exact opposite. Her true essence is the cold, and that fire was just a temporary functional flare-up necessary for the conquest. You spend your whole life trying to reignite an extinct volcano, not realizing that it was active only once in its history and will never wake up again. You live on a memory while she is already mentally hunting in new, uncharted territories. Dark secret aids sex as a mirror, and now we have reached the very last door, the darkest and deepest dungeon of her soul. This is the foundation upon which all the previous 7 floors rest. Her narcissism is so total that even in moments designed for complete dissolution in another person, she remains alone with herself. Her main and only sexual partner is not you. It is her own reflection. How does this manifest? It shows up in details that you might initially find charmingly kinky. Her love of having sex in front of a mirror. You think it's so she can see both of you, your union. But if you look closely, you'll see that her gaze is locked only on her own body. She is admiring herself. Her passion for taking explicit photos and videos. You think she's doing it for you, to arouse you. But in reality, she's doing it for herself, so she can later, in solitude, review these images and derive aesthetic pleasure from her own beauty. She is the main audience in her own adult theater. During intimacy itself, her consciousness is not with you. It's as if it leaves her body and takes the position of a camera filming a beautiful erotic scene. She is aroused not by what you are doing, but by how she looks while you are doing it. She is the director, mentally shouting, "Excellent, a little more passion in the facial expression. This angle is magnificent." You are not a partner to her. You are an animate, albeit very functional, prop. You are a tripod for the camera. You are a mirror. You are the tool that helps her connect with her one and only object of love, herself. Realizing this fact is the most crushing blow to the male ego imaginable. To understand that in the most intimate, most sacred moments of your life together, you simply weren't there. Physically, yes. But emotionally, spiritually, your place was an empty space. To understand that all those moans you took credit for were addressed to her reflection in the mirror. To understand that you are just a catalyst for her long, endless act of self-admiration. It is a complete annihilation. You realize you were in love with a woman who was in love only with herself. And in this relationship of three, her reflection, and you were always the odd one out. This truth is brutal, but it is liberating. It explains everything. Her coldness, her control, her hunger for attention, her cheating. All of these are just symptoms of her total inability to step outside of her own self and see another person. She is trapped in the mirror maze of her narcissism. And your main mistake is trying to shatter these mirrors with your love. You will only cut yourself on the shards, while she will instantly find new ones to see in them, again and again, only one thing, her own flawless, but utterly lonely face. Conclusion: we have journeyed together through all 8 circles of this cold, brilliantly sparkling hell. We have peeled back 8 layers of defense, behind which her main secret hides emptiness. And now you see that all these 8 secrets are not separate character flaws. They are symptoms of the same tragedy. The tragedy of a woman who spent her whole life building her beautiful palace on the edge of an abyss, on a foundation of others' admiration. And now she is forced to spend all her energy not on living, but on keeping that palace from collapsing. And the main male trap we fall into is not due to our foolishness. It's in our nature. We see this beauty, and our ancient instinct screams, "This is health. This is the best gene pool. This is victory." We are blinded by biology. We look at the perfect cover and our brain automatically fills in the perfect content. We become victims of the most beautiful illusion in the world. We are ready to give everything to become the master of this beautiful palace, not understanding that what we are being offered is not a life in it, but a lifelong position as a janitor in a cold, empty museum. So, what is to be done? Should we now fear all beautiful women? Of course not. That's not the point. The point is to change your perspective, to move from a youthful, instinctive choice to the choice of a mature man. A mature choice is not made with the eyes, but with your entire being. It's a choice based on a simple but fundamental understanding. Beauty is a resource, while the soul is a quality. A resource is always finite. A quality is infinite. A resource can be consumed. A quality can only be exchanged, multiplying it in the process. This is not a choice between a beautiful and an unattractive woman. It is a choice between a mirror woman and a journey woman. A mirror woman reflects only herself and your admiration for her. Looking at her, you will never see your true self. A journey woman invites you on a shared adventure, full of challenges, difficulties, and discoveries. And at the end of this path, you will both be better than you were at the beginning. Look for the one who not only knows how to accept compliments, but also how to give them. The one whose eyes light up when she talks not about herself, but about her passion, a book, a dream. Look for the one who is not afraid to seem funny, disheveled, or tired. The one whose hands know not only how to hold a glass of champagne, but also how to create comfort, heal your wounds, and hold you tight. Because in the end, intimacy is not about contemplating a perfect picture. Intimacy is the warmth of 2 imperfect but living people who have decided to warm themselves by the same fire. And when you make this choice in favor of depth over gloss, you will understand the most important thing. You are not just choosing another person. You are choosing another life. A life where you are loved not for what you can give, but for who you are. A life where the bedroom is not a stage for a performance, but the safest harbor in the universe. A life where energy doesn't disappear into the black hole of someone else's ego, but circulates and multiplies, making you both stronger every day. It is the choice between being an eternal spectator at someone else's throne and building your shared kingdom. And this choice, ultimately, is the greatest act of respect for yourself. And now, the main question for you. Based on your life experience, which of these 8 secrets do you consider the most destructive to a relationship, and why? Write the secret number and your thoughts in the comments. Let's gather our collective male wisdom in one place.